there. We are on week 3 of our Your Life is as Good as Your Mindset workshop. I'm really excited you're here today. We're covering a topic that I talk about with almost every single client I've ever worked with, and it's how to deal with other people's opinions. When they want you to do something you don't want to do, or when they have an opinion on what you're eating, or the way you look, or what you do for work, or how much money you make. People have so many opinions, and we have gotten into the habitual thinking patterns of just taking them on or making them mean something about ourselves, or trying to be a certain way so that we don't offend them. I talk about this about clients all the time, and this is why this is an entire topic in Your Life is Good as Your Mindset workshop, and I'm really happy to be talking about this with you today. If we haven't met before, my name is Tanessa Shears, and I am a life coach. I help drop not only the physical weight and the baggage and all this stuff going on, but the mental weight too. But this stuff is what is most important. It's really understanding that we have one life. So in order to have a quality life, we need to be able to have a quality mindset. And that means managing our emotions and managing the way we think, and not always being at the effect of the circumstances in our lives and what other people say all the time. So let's jump right into this workshop today. We're talking all about how to deal with other people's opinions, because we can go around trying to change other people's opinions and what they think of us, but at the end of the day, it's not effective, and we're the ones that get left feeling, down or sad or upset when someone says or does something that we don't agree with. So, brief review before we get started. We have been working all 3 weeks so far with this format here, and this is called the model. So I'm just going to do a quick review. C stands for circumstances. These are the neutral facts in your life that me and you can agree on, like it's raining outside, he said this, she wore a dress, all the things that we can completely agree on. That's the neutral circumstances. So when we think about those in our lives, we have thoughts about them. Thoughts are simply just sentences that run through our heads. That's as much as they have. But every time we have a thought, it creates a feeling in our body, a vibration, an emotional energy that is created because of the sentence in our head. So we think something, it generates a feeling. And all of these feelings drive every action we take. A is for action. It can also mean inaction. If you're not going to the gym, or you're not eating what you said you wanted to do, or you're not showing up at your job, that's an inaction. So all the feelings you have create the actions in your life, but the best thing is those actions or inactions directly reflect the results you have in your life or you don't have. Obviously, our actions contribute to whether or not we get results, but it all starts up here in how we think. So with this format today, I'm going to be taking you through how to not worry so much about what other people think and why you can't control what other people think. And I know I just taught this concept again on Tuesday to another new client, but these concepts sometimes are new and different, and so I really want you to come into this with an openness and a willingness to learn something or to believe something new. Because if what you're doing right now isn't serving you, this might help quite a bit. So, the specific example that I want to work with today is an example that I hear all the time, and it's when my clients are offered food from someone else that they know doesn't align with their goals or what they want or what they know will move them forward, but they eat it anyways. So this can be, offered office donuts at work. Someone comes around and says, "Do you want one? I got these donuts, they're amazing," right? So when someone does that, or when you're at a birthday party and you feel really obligated to eat the cake because everyone else is eating it, and you know that that's not on your plan for the day, and you have your treat plan for the weekend, but you just kind of feel bad saying no. Or what about when you're at a family dinner and you feel there's this expectation that you should eat what is put in front of you or what is offered to you? So many times we are making choices with our actions that are based on how we think other people will think of us if we make that choice. Now, this is something I wrote all about in my email on Monday, all about people pleasing. So if you do want to get on that newsletter list, just drop me a message below and we'll set that up. But all about people pleasing, I love the idea that people pleasing and doing actions and things to make other people think a certain way about you or like you is a way of manipulating the way they think. Meaning also, if you're not showing up truly authentically, they are liking and approving of a version of you that you are pretending to be. Meaning, if you offer me a piece of cake and I'm really focused on my goals right now, but I say yes to your piece of cake because I don't want you to be offended, I'm being inauthentic and I'm not showing up as me. So what you're doing is you're presenting a side of you to the world that you're trying to get people to like, but here's the thing, it's not even authentically you. So then when you look around in your life, we don't know if the people that are in our lives like us or who we are showing them we are being. And this I find so important. I have learned that showing up authentically and saying what I feel comfortable saying and doing and acting and what I want to believe, it may rub some people the wrong way. They may not always like what I have to say, but I know that the people that are in my life right now like who I am. And I know that those people are really tight with me because I don't have to worry about them thinking something about me, because I just know they generally like me. They like all my quirks and my eccentricities and everything that makes me me. So I would rather have fewer people that really know who I am and show up for me than a whole bunch of people that I'm showing who I think they want me to be. So keep that in mind as we play with this today. So we know that this format here, this CTFAR, circumstances, thoughts, feelings, actions, results, that's called a model, okay? So I want to use the very specific example because I deal with this one a lot, is when my clients say to me like, well, I went to this family dinner and I couldn't say no to that giant plate of pasta because they would have been offended if I said no. This is so common, and I guarantee you've probably at some point had an experience like this. So you have your model, so this is what's going on for you. You have their model. This is what is going on for them. The first thing I want to say is that these are separate. They are not related, okay? So someone else says to you, oh, come have some pasta. I made you some pasta. Maybe it's a family member or a grandma or something like that. Or I made this just for you. Something like that. And they say those words to you. So that falls into your circumstance line. It's neutral. It's not positive. It's not negative. It just is. They offered pasta. I agree. You agree. It happened. That's all it is. It's not negative. It has no meaning until we think a sentence about it that makes that true. Okay, so here's the thing. We're going to start looking at the thought about they offered pasta. So here's what we might be thinking. We might be thinking they'll be offended if I say no. And here's the thing. I love the idea that we like to think that we can force other people to have thoughts and feelings. We can't. We cannot create their feelings or their thoughts. Those are entirely from their head and their mind. So here's what we do. They'll be offended if I say no. You feel guilty. When you feel guilty, you eat the pasta despite it not being aligned with what you are committed to, what your goal is. So say you were just like, hey, I don't eat pasta. I have a treat plan on the weekend, or maybe you don't. It's just that this is not aligned with my goals. But you're worried that they'll be offended if I say no, so you feel guilty, and you eat the pasta. Your result is maybe you have no weight loss, maybe you get bloated, maybe any of those things, right? You feel, maybe you have an upset stomach, maybe you plateau, any of these things, okay? So I want you to think about it. This is the model you are running. Here's where we make a mistake. We think that us eating the pasta can directly affect their thoughts. But we cannot. So here's the thing. If we eat the pasta, the only place in their whole model that can show up is as a circumstance. It's neutral. We eat the pasta. You might eat the pasta and they might be offended because you didn't eat enough pasta. Or you ate too much pasta. See what I'm saying is that you could also eat the pasta and they could be like, that's great. They could have all kinds of thoughts, but those thoughts come from their head. You eating the pasta was neutral. So I want to take this, I want to grab my eraser. Where did I put it? And I want you to think about this. Here's what we think happens. They offered pasta. We thought that isn't aligned with my goals. Instead, we feel committed to our process, and the action is maybe we politely decline, and instead we fill up on, maybe there's steak or salad, or maybe we enjoy a glass of wine that we had planned, but we politely declined, and the result was we reach our goal, we stay on track, we build that relationship with ourselves, all of those kind of things. But here is where we think. If we choose, this isn't aligned with my goals, I'm going to stay committed and politely decline. Here's the thing. Us politely declining is the circumstance in their model. So all this is, our actions, what came out of our mouth, is a neutral circumstance for them. They get to choose whether they want to think they should be eating my food, they shouldn't be doing this, they should be doing that. We think that they're going to think they don't like my food, or they aren't being respectful, and we think that our act of saying no thank you is what's causing them to feel offended, but it's not. If you remember the model fundamentals that we've covered in previous weeks, a feeling is always caused by a thought, not your actions. Hear me super clearly on this. Your actions cannot cause their feelings, ever. Because the only way to cause a feeling is through a thought. As human beings, we have conscious control over the things we think. It doesn't feel like it if you haven't gotten practice at this, but ultimately, we choose what thoughts we think. If we think them over and over again, they become habitual and we don't feel like we choose them anymore. But there became a time that got that thought as a habit where we chose that thought. So when we politely decline food from someone else, or we say no to a date, or we don't want to go to that birthday party, or no thank you, all we do is show up as their circumstance. It is up to them what thought they choose, how they choose to perceive what you did. You cannot make them have a thought. And how we know this is that if you politely declined their food, two different people could have completely different thoughts. One person might think, hey, that's fine, more for me. I don't care if you don't have cake, then I have more leftovers. It's great. But somebody else might think, that's not fair, I went out and bought this for them, they're being rude. At the end of the day, the thought they choose to think is completely from their brain and not because of your actions. The thought they choose to think is going to create their feeling. So, if you say no to their food and their pasta and they feel offended, it is because of their own thoughts and not because of your actions. So, when we are going out into the world and doing things to try to make people have thoughts and feelings about us, it is manipulative because we cannot do it. So here's the thing. If I said yes because I wanted you to be happy, we are not only not showing up completely inauthentic, but we are trying to manipulate the way they perceive us so that we like how they feel. So understand that again, when we go out in the world, showing up as who we think they want to see so they feel happy or they don't feel offended, it is inauthentic to us, and it is an attempt to manipulate the way they think and feel instead of just letting them come to that conclusion on their own. And I'm going to tell you right now, here is why we don't politely decline when we don't want to do something and we end up people pleasing or eating that food. Here's why we don't decline. We do not like the feeling that happens in us when we think they might feel offended. When we think if we decline, they might choose a thought that makes them feel offended, that makes me, or us, feel uncomfortable. Ugh. You know that tension you get when you feel like you might, somebody might think that they don't agree with you, or there's a little tension, or you don't like what they just said. There's tension in us, and that is what we don't like. Not this. It really has nothing to do with other people's feelings, whether they're happy, offended, sad, angry, mad, whatever it is. It's how the sentence in our own head, I don't like how I feel when I think I made them offended, makes me feel really uncomfortable. It is our own thought that causes that discomfort in us. And as a society, we are not taught how to properly deal with that discomfort in our own bodies, that tension in the stomach, the shortness of breath, the discomfort, we don't know what to do, this feels really awkward, what am I going to say, what are they going to think of me? All of these things start running through your head as your thoughts and cause us to feel uncomfortable. And that is what is so intolerable about saying no thank you. It's our own discomfort, not what they might be thinking and feeling, but what you might be thinking or feeling about what you think they're thinking or feeling. It's just ridiculous. So here is what I offer you instead. What if this had nothing to do with anything? What if your responsibility on how you feel comes only from your thinking? And what instead of going through all of this, you just thought, I like my choices. And here's the best part. Say you do feel a little uncomfortable. This is a new thing. I can guarantee if you go out in the world and practice this right now, you're going to feel uncomfortable. I promise. Because it's part of the learning process. But here's what's going to happen. You're going to feel really uncomfortable. And your stomach might feel a little weird. And you might be breathing a little bit different. And you might just be judging yourself. But I want you to just stay present with that. Stay in that discomfort. Because if you say, no thank you, I'm not having pasta today. No thank you, I don't want a slice of dessert. No thank you, I'm okay from that glass of wine. And you feel uncomfortable. How long do you think that discomfort lasts? Really ask yourself that. Because the truth is, that discomfort only lasts maybe 5-10 minutes. And it is in you that we, with our thinking, are continuously generating that feeling of discomfort. And emotions have a short lifespan. They only last about 10 to 15 minutes. It's like sitting through a sugar craving. Have you ever sat through a sugar craving before? Yes? We all made it? It was fine? The discomfort went away? The same thing will happen here, but if we never teach ourselves to become good at sitting in discomfort by being authentic with what we are aligned with, and what goals we have. If we are not good at sitting in that discomfort, then we will never move forward on our goals. We will always show up inauthentic, and we will always struggle with this instead of saying who we really want to be. And everyone's opinion will always matter to you. As long as you live in that model that what you do controls their thoughts and their feelings. As soon as you realize that other people's opinions of you and what you do and their thoughts and their feelings are all on them, then all you have to worry about is you and what's important to you and how you want to show up. So that is my offer for you today, is that other people's opinions and how they feel when you do take food, don't take food, any of that is all a product of how they think about what you said, not because of what you said. Because two people can perceive that entirely differently. This is so powerful. And I really hope that this sinks in today. What we are going to be covering next week is all about how to deal with that. I don't have time. My schedule feels so busy. It's so full. I don't really have time to go to the gym. I can't make time to eat healthy. I can't work on my business. That's what we're covering next week in week 4. And then week 5, what we do is we wrap it up with this whole concept of self-coaching and how you can learn how to do this yourself. It is intensely powerful work, and I have to say one of the most freeing things I've ever experienced in my life is the ability to detach the way I think and feel from others, and instead generate how I want to feel every single day because of how I choose to think. And then you go out there and you show up in the world and you be who you want to be, and you feel authentic and it feels aligned, and it's easy to stay committed because you're going after what you know drives good feelings in you and not worrying about other people's emotions and how they get involved in that. So again, my name is Tanessa. I hope that has been exceptionally helpful for you. Like I said, if you're interested in working one-on-one life coaching with me, leave me a message below or send me a private message and let's jump on a call. We'll talk about what that looks like and get you started. Otherwise, have a beautiful week. I will see you next Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to be talking all about that BS excuse we tell ourselves about why we are not as busy as we think we are. And we do have time to do the things that matter. I will talk to you next week. Bye.